The coup, was it a coup, was it not a coup? The unintentional coup, the failed coup. Just quickly, Billy Blakeman's going to round up exactly what the coup was and the article that we're going to put up for the viewers now. What was that coup all about, Billy, or wasn't it a coup?
It was not a coup. A coup, no. A coup is deemed to have taken place where a horse opens up on the previous day in the evening at a certain price, a big price, and then at some point during the evening or the following day the horse is heavily backed and the price shortens dramatically, and that's what we call a coup. The inferences that the owner or the trainer involved in the horse knows something which maybe isn't apparent from the form book and is having large bets. Sometimes that might be the case, sometimes not. Sometimes maybe a tipping line or people reading things into something which isn't there.
Right, well let's, without further ado, let's find out exactly what the case was. We got Stephen Arnold, the horse owner, on the phone. Good evening, Stephen.
Hi there.
Hello there. I mean, if you want, just give us a summary, if you like, of exactly what it is that's come out in the media.
Well, firstly, I don't really think it was a coup. I had a fair few horses running on the day. As a yard, we had 14 declared, 13 ran, and there was a few of them that I thought had good chances of winning, which I then posted on Twitter. Yeah,
well, I mean, obviously, as an owner, and when you come to meetings like this, it seems a no-brainer to back your horses if you've got the knowledge of them being well informed. But it clearly wasn't a coup that would have paid off if it was a coup, if you like, because it didn't really have a lot of luck with the horses.
No, everything went wrong. I mean, obviously the pace wasn't very strong in the first race, which sort of went against the plan. I don't know why, but that's why he ran so poorly. And then Martin getting injured in the second race. I'll be honest with you, after that, I really wanted to pull all my horses out. But the speculation and what I would have got in return if I did that, it wasn't worth it. I couldn't win either way.
Yeah, now, I mean, that's one of the points, isn't it? Obviously, Brown Pete was withdrawn. Sadly, Martin Harley had that shocking injury, of which we'll hope he'll recover from. But Brown Pete was withdrawn. And then I believe, I mean, you might stand correct on this, but asked to withdraw Royal Intruder, of which the BHA didn't allow you to withdraw, or said you couldn't withdraw? What could you clear that up for us? Yeah, well, I could withdraw Brown Pete under the rule. If your declared jockey isn't available, you have the right to withdraw him, even though the stipendiary steward didn't like it at the time. But I had that right, and I didn't want to run any more horses. Royal Intruder, I couldn't do that because the declared jockey was there available to ride, and he ended up bursting catastrophically in the race as well. Right, OK. Just rewind slightly and talk about something that you were quoted on. I've got you quoted saying, bookies don't want to know these days. They won't lay you a straight win bet on one horse, and now they won't do multiples either. I mean, we've covered this topic on this show, BetRacingNation, a number of times, and I just wanted to know, are you talking about yourself, your own personal profile, you not being able to get a bet on, or is it a more general sort of feeling about, being able to put a bet on these days? I think it's general because these were new accounts. I don't bet very much with bookmakers anyway. I do bet with Bet365 from time to time, and they were willing to take any bets that I tried to place on the horses. Ladbrokes, brand new account, restricted me to 67p lucky 31. Yeah. And you would think that's bad until you go to Coral's brand new account. The maximum bet was 16p. And the worst of them all was Stan James. This is before any prices crashed or anything. They would not let me have a 1p lucky 31.
Stephen, this is Peter here. I just wanted to ask you, you was obviously on Twitter in the morning and you put up the selections. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And I made the point that it sort of made an interest in a mundane all-weather afternoon because you actually were quite open and a lot of owners wouldn't do that. I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, irrespective of them winning or not, you did actually put them up. Yeah, but, I mean, why shouldn't I? I mean, I put up Catalyze when he won twice as well. I mean, why not? Why not give other people a chance? I mean, these bookies are ripping people off every day, where they're backing no hopers, horses with no chance, false gambles that are led by bookies shortening prices. Then you've got the machines to boot, which no one can win on long term.
The thing that we'd like to talk about now is this confusion about whether it's the BHA's role to be informing bookmakers of whether there is a suspected coup. If I can hand us over just to Peter to quickly explain the headline that came out and exactly, you know, what we're talking about.
Yeah, I
need
my glasses for this, but basically, I mean, this was in the Racing Post. The BHA's internal monitoring and intelligent networks gathered the information and acted positively once verified, and these actions alerted the betting industry in order that bookmakers were able to act in a manner they felt appropriate.
Right.
So the point is, what are the BHA doing contacting the bookmakers? That's essentially my point. I don't know what Stephen
should they even be getting involved in this instance? Stephen, your take on this?
Yeah, I just don't understand why they would be doing that. There was nothing underhand. There was nothing hidden. There wasn't horses running under different owners' name that they didn't belong to. There was. I don't understand why they're trying to protect bookmakers from having to pay out. Where did they release any information to the public warning them not to back other horses in the races?
Yeah, I'm sorry, John, do you want to jump in and say one?
It was the same. You remember Ballinger Ridge, when that ran at Lingfield maybe 10 years ago, and Kieran Fallon off in front, and, well, whatever happened, it was a very shady business. And there, the BHA, or the BHB then, had warned the stewards at Lingfield to look out for this. So the word was out there as to
But my point, John, when Barney Curley did it, they didn't do it because the bookmakers said they already had something in place to be able to stop that. So, you know, OK, Stephen has entered a number of horses that if anyone looks at the entries would have seen he's got a number of horses running that day, and he's hoping to get a few winners from it.
Because now what you've got is you've got this kind of stigma attached, right? Whether it's a Barney Curley connection, or I hate to say it, but in the spotlight of Stephen Arnold own horses, and suddenly this needs to be looked at by the authority.
But in fairness, Stephen does have form with the BHA,
right?
Whether rightly or wrongly, for laying his own horses, he didn't lay them. That he didn't profit by actually laying them, but whatever it is, he has form with the BHA. He was very, very fair. Stephen, you came onto Twitter and you did terrific interviews with Matt Chapman on ATR, both before the races and in the middle of the afternoon as well. So you couldn't have been more open as to what you're doing. As you said, you'd got the prices early, so you didn't mind anybody else joining in. But I ask you this, Stephen, for the integrity of racing. Is this kind of nefarious activity, coups going on whether they landed or not, the punters, the man or woman who studies the form book, goes on their knowledge of racing, are they to really bring this in? Does it do racing any good?
Yeah, but I don't think it is a coup, it's the media. But anyway,
well, Stephen answer
Stephen.
But I mean, what has been done wrong? There's nothing hidden in what I did. There's not horses been stopped for 2 years and down £60 in the weights. They haven't changed ownership or moved stables or hiding in other people's names. I mean, what has actually been done wrong? Are we not allowed? I mean, I didn't have major bets. I had small bets. We're talking about £1 lucky 31s and £2 lucky 31s to win a decent amount of money if all horses won. I didn't back any horses individually, which I made clear. I don't understand how it's bad for racing whatsoever. It's only bookmakers that try and make that out.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I heard it in the morning, Stephen, you know, I thought, oh, is this a coup? And I looked at the race card, and they're all wearing, you know, your red and white checks owned by Stephen Arnold. It's quite clear who they're owned by. It's quite clear who they're connected to, and you made it quite clear what you were backing and when you were backing them. But what I'll do, Stephen, I'll pass you over to Twitter Corner. Sam Boswell and our viewers at home maybe posing a question at you.
Hi Steve, thank you for joining us. A couple of the viewers have tweeted in. I must say most of them have been quite supportive of you, but the main sort of overriding question I'm getting, a couple of different people have tweeted suggestions of this, Anthony Amato and also Bookies Don't Lay Bets, quite an appropriate Twitter handle for tonight's conversation. They've both asked if you feel a bit victimised by the BHA and if it's going to possibly put people like yourself off ownership, considering the type of horses you own and the fact that the prize money certainly won't pay the bills.
Well, it does. The biggest thing is, I mean, we all know bookies don't want to take bets from people because they've got machines, and the online bookies have all online casinos and everything else to earn money. Why should they bother? But it's strange enough, the one bookie that does seem to lay bets, which is Bet365, had huge profits last year. And as for the BHA, look, I don't know. They were very fair to me, I must admit. after my ban and helping me come back, and throughout the whole ban I kept in contact and they were very helpful and fair. I don't think in this instance they have been. They've tried to make it look something sinister that it isn't.
Okay. I just want to make one point, Stephen. Looking through the form of Daniel Thomas, I mean, it's a 12-year-old. I don't think you can organise a certain gamble. Absolutely. So, do you know what I mean? It's all been taken. Don't you feel it's a bit taken out of hand by the media, Stephen? Well,
without a doubt, they're trying to make it into something it's not. I did say in the interview with Matt Chapman that they're not steering jobs. They're just horses in the right grade of races over what we believe is the right trips that have a good chance.
And Billy, sorry, one more panellist we got on now, Billy Blakeman, go on.
Yeah, a couple of points. Do we really want for racing the BHA going through the card of an evening, looking for notable owners and trainers and patterns, and not only warning bookmakers, but issuing statements to the press that they're warning bookmakers about horses which may or may not have any chance of winning? It's a ridiculous situation.
It's the odds compiler's job, is it not?
It's the odds compiler's job, not to just look at the form, but look at the circumstances around. But if you look at Stephen's horses yesterday, Profile Star, the only one that won, absolutely on the form book, had every chance. 2 runs to go over course and distance, he was just beaten, and he had every chance of winning. You know, the other horses had some chance.
That's the only one I backed.
Absolutely.
So get the BHA cut out. One more thing from you, John, wasn't there?
Stephen, could I ask you, do you feel now like the poor man's Barney Curley?
I've never claimed to be Barney Curley. I may have a bald head like him, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm an open person, and I wouldn't describe him that way, but that's about as far as we're similar.
OK, well, cheers, Stephen. I know you've got your lobster in the pot and the champagne in the fridge, so I won't keep you much longer. Just one last one. Royal Intruder and Don't Break My Heart obviously won't run again. Big shame that. Well, I think that's the case anyway. Have you got anything new in training for us punters here to keep an eye on?
No, it's all the old suspects, really. But look, I'm sure Dancing Freddie might win on Tuesday. He's took a long time to get fit, and although he's been running well, he hasn't been fully fit, and he's getting fitter with every run. He's had a lot of problems with his joints, etc. He had a fairly major operation last year, and it's took a bit of time to get him fit, and he would have a great chance if he runs on Tuesday.
I think in fairness to you, Stephen, you are the only person who's had a gamble allegedly like this to come public with it. On Twitter, talking to Matt Chapman on ATR. You can't say you were being deceptive or anything like that. Everyone knew what you knew, so he'd give you full credit for that. Will you do it next time you have a go?
Why not? I mean, if the bookies are going to reduce the races to SP every time that I put something on Twitter, I mean, it's going to cut their business down even more, isn't it? And Ladbrokes probably will go bust.
Yeah, but you know that with the Barney Curley business, the original prices, I think they were 14,000 to 1. Was the 4 or 5 horses there. They ended up 19.5 to 1 in the accumulator in the end. Which our Bookmaker's early warning system and their protection system, whether you like it or not, is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a stigma.
That's the point, though. That's the point, though. Their systems are amazing. They don't need the BHA telling them that this is a protect. They should know already.
Well, Ballinger Ridge, certainly the word got out from the BHP down to the stewards, certainly because I was at Lingfield that day. So the word got out to watch for Ballinger Ridge, and the stewards were watching it particularly.
On that day. And arguably nothing.
Sorry, Stephen.
Sorry, did you want to say something, or did you...
Look, I fully support if there is something corrupt or suspicious to be corrupt going on, that the BHA should inform the relevant people. But we're talking about betting 4 or 5 horses. We're not talking about something corrupt going on.
I'm talking about thousands and thousands of pounds and...
This is a £2 lucky 15, which would have won a lot.
The bookies have 4 protections. They can set their own early prices. They can look around and decide what prices to open up at. They've all got mechanisms in place to prevent any losses in these situations. They can refuse and do refuse any bet they want to take, and they can manipulate the SP to be whatever they want it to be.
And let me ask you this, Stephen: had all 5 won, would you have been content and not worried if the BHA had looked back on all the previous recent runnings of those 5 horses? Because there would have been a huge inquiry.
If you take Decent Fella, for example, they actually looked into the run and ride of him twice in these last few runs, and there was nothing done about it. They were satisfied. Look, I mean, it's not about stopping horses previously. Sometimes horses aren't quite right, and they take a bit of time to come to themselves. Sometimes they're not in the right grade of race. that doesn't mean you're stopping them. As I said to Matt Chapman, I've had plenty of horses that I thought, this isn't the right type of race today, it can't win, there's another race in the future that would be better for him, and they bolted up. And it's not about stopping horses. If you don't ride a horse the way you believe it should be ridden, that doesn't mean you're stopping it. It can still win. They're still doing their best. If they can win from there, they will.
But, Stephen, let's ask you this from the punter's point of view, who are not in the Magic Circle, don't read Twitter, don't even listen to Matt Chapman. Is it fair on them?
I think that's
Had
just
they
you.
all won, are they... No, but are they to know what's going on? Is this kind of activity where horses with terrible form...
He's done his horses in a lucky 63, John. I mean,
yes, I know, but had they all won, it would be the Barney-Curley syndrome. I'm asking you, Stephen, as a punter, is it fair that other people could be doing this when you're having bets on your horses in different races?
But it's up to me, John, as a punter, because that's all I am at the end of the day, is to look up those other horses, look at their form, look at the trips they've been running over, make a decision on that. And that every punter has the option to do that. They may not be on Twitter, but they have the option to look up the Racing Post online or the paper or in the betting shop and form an opinion on their chances. If they believe they've been running over the wrong trip or in the wrong grade, and all of a sudden they're in the right grade over the right trip, they can form an opinion and back that horse and think it's got a good chance.
Yeah, keep it black and white is what we're saying, really, Stephen. And I know I said I'd let you go, but we won't. We've actually got the last question. Billy Blakeman, what have you got to say?
Well, just to reiterate what Stephen was saying, I make money from betting on horses. What I'm looking for is a horse that's in the right grade, in the right race, in the right trip, and that's how I make money. I mean, if you look at Profile Star, you can see in the form book that this is the right race, the right trip, the right course. Everything's there. That's how I make money. So you can't say the punter couldn't see that. And some of Stephen's other horses, the age they are, like Daniel Thomas, you can see he's got a chance on a day. If everything goes right and the race pans out, he might win. He might not. It's visible. These horses are visible on the form book.
But I think it's important to differentiate between this and the Barney-Curley aspect.
Yeah,
it's different.
It's a big difference. These horses are running consistently. Their marks haven't dropped significantly, and they're all running off the same marks. If he has a lucky day,
Pete, it's clear who they're running for, where they're
absolutely.
And
with the Barney-Curley ones,
things, a series of connections.
And some people in racing, it really annoys me that some people in the racing actually applaud something like what he did. Yeah. And it's fine, it's fantastic. And you get Stephen come on. He is quite open about what these horses have done on the all-weather. These are not run at Ascot, Newmarket, and then suddenly gone down £30. They've all averaged out marks of between 50 and 70. And Daniel Thomas didn't win the other day, but who's to say in a couple of weeks' time, it don't win.
Yeah,
Stephen,
exactly.
Are you planning another one like this? And if you are, will you put it on Twitter and tell Matt Chapman again?
No, I'll let you know first, John.
Good. Well, cheers, Stephen. We'll be keeping our eyes on those usual suspects, as you call them. And I must can't thank you enough for joining us on the phone. You've been excellent. Thanks, Stephen.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure.
Have a nice evening, cracking weekend, Stephen. Bye.